one of these days I'm actually gonna hike up here. But you know how it goes. Every year I go on a road trip, I start at the PCT. Kind of like a reminder to me of, what I'm supposed to be doing. How you doing? So, I'm here at the Cajon Pass, and going on a little road trip. Thought I'd take you along up to Washington State, through the eastern part of California, Washington, Oregon, and then down through the western part of Oregon, Washington, California. Not in that order. Last year I kind of drove a little nothing of a car. This year I've got the Chrysler 300.
It's the Chrysler 300 with leather seats, leather steering wheel, leather mats, leather interior, leather wheels. Actually, the whole thing could be leather as far as we know. We think they breed this enormous cow and slap a metal shell around it. And that's the Chrysler 300. Is it your grandfather driving, or perhaps a member of a drug cartel? Either way, they're probably made out of leather.
If I were a betting man, I would say the last thing you saw was the camera flopping off of the window. I got one of those suction cup mounts, and yeah, it just kind of flopped. So there you go. I'm at my first stop on this trip, which is the Buddhist Meditation Center outside of Adelanto, California. I thought this would make for a really good place to start my trip because here's something about me. Nice sun, huh? By the way, here's one of the Buddhas. There are a whole lot of them. The sun is like right on the screen, so I can't even see what I'm filming. But, okay, here's something you might not know about me. I I come from a long line of worriers. Whew, right. I come from a long line of worriers. And we worry about everything. Anything we can worry about, we worry about. So when I'm going to start a new road trip or a new trip of any kind, and this especially applies to hiking and backpacking on the PCT especially. Before I leave, I worry a lot. And then after I leave, I worry a lot. And in the process of leaving, I worry a lot. I constantly worry. And it's hard for me to let those worries go. So what happens is they catch up to me, and I end up leaving the trail just as soon as I've started, because I'm so afraid of what could happen. Now, there's a lot of things that could happen on this trip, but not a lot of things that will. For every fear I have about what could happen, there's like a million reasons why that fear is unfounded. So, if you're also a worrier, a good way to start a trip that you're kind of terrified about. Okay, maybe terrified is not the right word. Dread is the right word. If you feel a sense of dread, like, I'm going to drive through the desert and there's a good chance the car is going to die, and then I'll be stuck, and then I'll die a slow, terrible death of running out of water in the middle of the desert. Believe me, as a writer, I think up these things all the time, and most of them are far worse. So, a good way to start a journey that you're, man, that's bright. A good way to start a journey that you are not afraid to start, but that you are kind of dreading, is to find a way to let go of those fears. And so I've come here to this avenue of Buddhas. I don't think that's what they call it, but they really should think about it. I've come here to be like that guy behind me, just to let it all go. And it's amazing how when you find something that that clicks with you, that you don't just agree with, but you hear it and you think, yeah, that's exactly how I feel. How easy it is to find a way to let go of those things in that context. Am I putting that right? Am I saying things correctly? I don't know. I've been up since 5:30, and I still have bedhead. But anyway, here's the plan. The plan originally was to film like last year and get lots of shots from the road. But my phone took out my window mount, the suction cup mount. I'm gonna try and remount it. I like this guy. If you notice, I want to show you something. There's pennies and nickels and dimes and things all in there, which is kind of funny. I mean, he's literally holding a blessing in his hand, isn't he? Anyway, I'm going to try and remount the camera on my window, but I didn't want to do it while I was driving, so that's why you didn't see my approach to this Buddhist meditation center. Look at this one. This guy's ready to sneak up on you. Boo. That's the dread that I feel when I start a backpacking trip. I think at any minute something's just gonna come and push me right over, well, hopefully not over a literal side. You can see behind me this row of Buddhas. I would film in front of me, but I'm far too egotistical to do that. Anyway, so I'm gonna get the camera mounted on my window again, and we'll get moving. This is just my opportunity to stop and reflect, and also because my barber, Jessica, who shaves this beautiful mug for me, she has a theory about this place. She thinks it's a cover, it's a front, that this is where they're dealing all the opium, or trafficking all the child sex slaves. And I can almost guarantee her that I've seen almost no child sex slaves here. I'm gonna turn around and give you a little peek down the other way. There's the 24-foot giant healing Buddha. And as you could probably see, it's more standing than healing, but you know, whatever works. Okay, one last one, and then we'll get going. This, my friend over here, he's got the knowledge in his heart. See, he knows what he's about, which is why he's smiling. He's a little smug about it, I think. Anyway, your thing might not be Buddhism, and I totally understand that. It happens to be my thing. And I wrote a book called Illumination. And part of my plan on this trip is to record some book promos. And we're gonna do one right here. So you see what I'm doing, and this is going to be for the promos also. So let's talk about Illumination. Illumination is a book that takes the metaphors of Buddhism, because all religions are written in metaphors, and some of them are hard to understand because they're so old. So what I did is I took the metaphors of Buddhism and I updated them for 21st century life. And what that means is it's a new take on karma, it's a new take on reincarnation, it's a new take on samsara, all of that. And I call it Illumination. Oh, hey, just one more thing. Little Buddhism lesson for you as I switch hands. Hi, how you doing? Little Buddhism lesson for you, since I've been talking so much about Buddhism. The idea of having a Buddha statue. The idea, oh, try and get it into the picture. There we go. The idea isn't to worship the Buddha, because we are all Buddhas, we just don't realize it. The idea is to look upon the Buddha, if I can get it in the shot, is to gaze upon the Buddha and try to emulate it. It's not for worship, it's an example for you. Take this Buddha, for instance. His hand is open as he sits there, open to the luminance, open to enlightenment. He's ready for it. Even his third eye's open. And that's how we should be. And all of these Buddhas each tell a different story or a different lesson about how we should act. not only to find the radiance, the luminance, but just to find happiness, just to find peace. And so, my half hour or so, it's actually been more like 40 minutes, here at the Buddhist Meditation Center has come to a close. It's getting rather hot. Today is August 20 something, and I got a long way to go still, but I didn't want to come down here without sharing it with you. So, I'm at the Manzanar World War II Japanese internment camp. And before I talk about why I'm here, I want to update you on the whole navigation issue. By the way, it's about 95 degrees out here. It's beautiful, but man, it's hot. Anyway, we had some last minute changes to organizing the trip, my wife and I. And I thought I'd be using a different camera to film with, and that I'd get my navigation off the phone. And then as it turns out, I'm using the phone to film, so I can't use the navigation. So I thought I'd use the car's navigation, but that's a mess, which I just found out. So, this is gonna be fun. Anyway, I'm gonna turn the camera around so you can have a look. I'm not going to film too much while I'm here because I figure if you really want to see the Manzanar internment camp, well, by golly, you'd drive down here, wouldn't you? Or you'd watch it on YouTube, where there are plenty of very informative videos. I just have one thing to say. My wife is half Japanese, and her mother would not have been here for this horrible event in our nation's history, fortunately. But having said that, I think that this is a good time and a good place to just take a moment and think about the hubris, and think about the fear, and think about the lack of thought. You know, we were so afraid, right? We were so afraid of the Japanese, the enemy in our midst. And a couple decades ago, or just a decade ago, we were terrified of brown people who wore turbans on their head. And now we're afraid of brown people who are coming to this country for opportunity. We need to stop and think about what we're so afraid of, and stop putting people in cages, children in cages. Just think for a minute. Anyway, I'll take a few pictures as I wander around. Those mountains in the background are gorgeous, by the way. So at least he had a good view.
When the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor, our west coast became a potential combat zone. Living in that zone were more than 100,000 persons of Japanese ancestry, 2/3 of them American citizens, 1/3 aliens. We knew that some among them were potentially dangerous. Most were loyal, but no one knew what would happen among this concentrated population if Japanese forces should try to invade our shores. Military authorities therefore determined that all of them, citizens and aliens alike, would have to move. This picture tells how the mass migration was accomplished. Neither the Army nor the War Relocation Authority relished the idea of taking men, women, and children from their homes, their shops, and their farms. So the military and civilian agencies alike determined to do the job as a democracy should, with real consideration for the people involved. First attention was given to the problems of sabotage and espionage. Now, here at San Francisco, for example, convoys were being made up within sight of possible Axis agents. There were more Japanese in Los Angeles than in any other area. At nearby San Pedro, houses and hotels occupied almost exclusively by Japanese were within a stone's throw of a naval air base, shipyards, oil wells. Japanese fishermen had every opportunity to watch the movement of our ships. Japanese farmers were living close to vital aircraft plants. So as a first step, all Japanese were required to move from critical areas such as these. But of course, this limited evacuation was a solution to only part of the problem. The larger problem, the uncertainty of what would happen among these people in case of a Japanese invasion, still remained. That is why the commanding general of the Western Defense Command determined that all Japanese within the coastal area should move inland. Immediately, the Army began mapping evacuation areas and for a time encouraged the Japanese to leave voluntarily. The trouble for the voluntary evacuees soon threatened in their new locations. So the program was quickly put on a planned and protected basis. Thereafter, the American citizen Japanese and Japanese aliens made their plans in accordance with Army orders. Notices were posted. All persons of Japanese descent were required to register.
So I'm sitting in my car, still at the Manzanar World War II internment camp, because it's really hot outside. And I was only able to see part of the camp. I would have liked to have seen more, but it's just hot. And I found out my phone's dying, so everything is going just as planned. So I'm going to charge my phone as I head to my next and final destination for the day, South Lake Tahoe. And with any luck, I'll start filming before I get to South Lake Tahoe, just as soon as the phone is charged. There are so many big flying beetles, which some people call June bugs, and I've also heard referred to as Japanese beetles. And if that's the case, how appropriate. So, I just stopped for gas at Bishop, and my phone's all charged up, and I can start filming again. I should probably drive with both hands. Anyway, I got myself a bye, a little drink, and then I thought, you know, I've got some snacks in my backpacking, in my backpack for backpacking. I'll just grab one of the snacks. And I fished out this fig bar that is, let's say, partially inflated, which causes me concern. But what the hell, I'll eat it. Anyway, check out this road. Okay, so if I put my arms on the table, it moves the camera everywhere. Not gonna do that. So I checked into my first hotel. Man, I'm like red or something. I checked into my first hotel, which happens to be a Motel 6. Here's the thing about Motel 6s. Their corporate catchphrase, their tagline should be, "We're taking no frills to a whole new level." Because I swear to God. So, where to start? Did you know they don't have shampoo at Motel 6? Like, I've got to go to the store and buy shampoo in a little bottle if I can help it. It's just weird because you kind of expect that. The same with, there's no mini fridge. And, you know, as for myself, I like to buy drinks and keep them cold. Not doing that. Oh, God. You know you're at a Motel 6 when the guy in the lobby, the guy at the desk, is missing teeth. Also, when I got the room, he's like, "It's just on the other side of that building." It was back that way. Actually, back that way and over, because I'm like towards the... Anyway, you don't care. So, I haven't stopped to eat yet today. I had a egg bite at Starbucks for breakfast. And then, as you might remember, I had those fig bars that didn't kill me. So, hey. So, this is why you grow a beard, to hide stuff like this. So, I'm going to go get something to eat. And I thought I'd bring you with me because Mr. No Teeth, Bad Directions at the front desk, I'm a terrible person. Why would I say that about someone? I'm awful. Anyway, he told me that 3 buildings down is the best Italian restaurant outside of Italy. And look, you know, at South Lake Tahoe, it is entirely possible. It's not very likely, but still. Anyway, so let's go check that out. But before we do, it's story time. I've got a little story to tell you that I haven't told in a while, and I haven't remembered in a while. Mostly because South Lake Tahoe rarely comes up in conversation. I know you're saying, but you're in California and you're right next to each other. No, South Lake Tahoe is 1,000,000 miles away. Okay, almost 500, but still. I've never been here before. It's okay. No, actually, it's very beautiful. I'm sorry. Shouldn't be so sarcastic. It's quite nice. The main road is being worked on, so you can't cross the street. But it's very nice. So anyway, I don't ever go to South Lake Tahoe, and I'm driving in, and I see a sign for a wedding chapel, and an alarm goes off in my head because South Lake Tahoe, about, is it 2018? Holy crap. About 20 years ago, just over 20 years ago, my first wife and I were supposed to elope here. And as it turned out, we didn't elope here. We probably should have. We didn't elope here. We ended up getting married up in Washington. Very, very, very small wedding. And since between then and now, I've been married a second time, and we had not a great big wedding, but we had about 100 people. It wasn't a small wedding, and it was a blast. It was just a ton of fun. Of course, I married like the coolest chick in town, so, you know, I lucked out. But I saw that wedding chapel, and I thought about how my first wife and I were supposed to elope here, and how we ended up getting married in Washington. And I thought, those poor kids, they didn't stand a chance, you know? I mean, one of the things about a nice big wedding, and by the way, I recommend a nice big wedding for everyone. Everyone should have at least one. They're a lot of fun. It's a party where you're the center of attention. It's great. And everybody wants to see you kiss your spouse, which at that point in time, you really want to do. So yeah, it's really great. And I think that if we had gone that route, maybe we wouldn't have stayed together forever, but it certainly couldn't have hurt. So, anyway, South Lake Tahoe, home of my once almost elopement. Let's get some dinner. Okay, so you know you're staying at a Motel 6 when the guy at the front desk, missing teeth, and there's something else about him I can't remember. I'm so tired. Anyway, when he tells you to go 3 doors down to the best Italian place in the world, 3 doors down is a thrift store, 2 doors down is a miniature golf shop, 1 door down is a bar. I'm gonna find a place to eat, even if I eat, that's all, folks. So, here's the thing. Eek, warm, smart water. Dripping all over me. Just wonderful stuff. So, nice, huh? Watch this. Okay, so Vicky tells me that I don't know how to travel, that I'm no good at traveling. I can't travel. I'm terrible. She's right. I have decided Vicky is right. Well, you know, she's my wife, so she's supposed to be, right? She's supposed to be right. You're supposed to be right. So, yeah. Let me tell you about South Lake Tahoe. This has never happened to me before. This place hates me. And now that I have been around South Lake Tahoe, I can tell you, I'm so glad I didn't try to elope here. We would have ended up killing each other. Okay, so it's very warm. Nice air conditioner, nice. Very warm in here. Anyway, where to begin? So I decided to try and find that Italian restaurant that the guy at the front desk had told me about. Now, I don't know if, well, you probably remember because you just saw me mention this, but when he told me where the room was, he said it was over this way. It was actually over that way. I should have figured that into my math when I went to look for this restaurant, although I'll tell you, it wouldn't have mattered. So, 3 doors down, let's see, 1 door down, there's a bar. 2 doors down, there's a golf course, a miniature golf course. 3 doors down, there's a thrift shop. 4 doors down is an office building. 5 doors down is a gas station. 6 doors down is another gas station. You know, I thought maybe he counted wrong. No. Fortunately, because there were 2 gas stations, you probably already figured I was at a corner. I was able to cross across the street from here. And, oh lordy. So I went into a place called the Coldwater Grill, I think it's called. And I should have expected it. I mean, it's South Lake Tahoe. This is as California gets, right? So I go in, sit down, open a menu. There ain't shit on there I want to eat. Nothing. The best thing, the thing closest to what I could eat, like that was, because I'm a normal Joe, right? I'm a down to earth guy. I'm a down to earth guy. So, the only thing I saw that I thought I could eat was the kale salad. That's how bad the rest of the menu was, okay? I mean, their burger, you read it and you're like, wait, where's the burger? It's like made of short ribs and shit. I just want a fucking burger. So, left there. Normally, I go into a restaurant, I can't find something I want. I'll find something I want. I mean, look at me. I'm not the kind of guy who turns down food. However, I left there and walked down the block, now heading towards the Motel 6. The first and last time I stay at a Motel 6 if I can somehow get out of my other reservation. Anyway, this is what happens when you put all the money into the car, by the way. When you die. So, several doors down further is a Mexican place. And I'm like, I love Mexican food. I come from Southern California. I love Mexican food. So, I'm going to go in. There's a big open sign, and you go around, and another open sign. You go to the front door, closed. The door's locked. They ain't kidding. It's closed. Although 2-to-1 odds say it's open, it was closed. Great. So, further down the street then, grocery store. And this is where I said, this was my last resort. I said, I'm going to keep going, right? I'm going to go because there's a light up ahead. I'm going to go see if I can find this Italian restaurant I've heard so much about that's supposed to be the best one outside Italy. Just a little bit perturbed. So, going to the grocery store. I've never heard of this. It's like, I can't even remember the name of the place. I've never heard of it. It's some weird South Lake Tahoe place. But I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna get what I need. First of all, shampoo. Yeah, it's Pantene, but this was the smallest bottle they sold. So, shampoo. And then I thought, okay, how can I... Well, first of all, okay, back up. First of all, I thought, they don't serve breakfast here. There's no breakfast, buffet or whatever the hell. And tomorrow, I got a shit ton of driving to do. I got to drive like almost 700 miles. So, I got to leave here really early, so I've got to get some breakfast quick. So I went into my backpack where I have my snacks for hiking and various foodstuffs. And there ain't shit in there. Not after I eat that the fig bar. There's gummies. There's beef jerky. Neither of which are breakfast food. And then there are a couple mountain houses. We'll get to that. So I go to the store. I get my shampoo, and I also get this, which is absolutely horrible. I mean, if you look at what's in it, it's absolutely garbage. But it's cranberry almond, and I love cranberry almond. So I'm going to eat these horrible crispy snack bars for breakfast. Unless I find a place as I'm driving, but I can't rely on that, Around here, it's all mountain roads, twisty-turny, nothing. There's nothing. Okay, so that's breakfast. Dinner, I thought, what can I eat that would be good for me? I got to eat healthier, and I'm moving in that direction. So I know what I'm about to show you isn't necessarily healthier. Well, it's healthier than this, but I got a little salad. Little comes with a fork. They don't have forks here, or anything. Fucking Motel 6, man. So the kickin' barbecue style, it's the only salad they had that didn't have either ranch or blue cheese. I'm not a big fan of ranch or blue cheese dressing. But it does have, what the hell is it called again? Barbecue ranch. Barbecue ranch. So it's ranch, hopefully mixed with barbecue sauce. It looks awful, but I'm gonna eat it. And then, if I'm still hungry, if I absolutely have to, I got a mountain house. Beef stew, or as I'm probably going to end up calling it, fart stew. And I've got piping hot water out of the tap, so it won't cook as fast, but I figure if I give it some time... I thought this was a zippy lock. Oh, I'm in more trouble than I thought. Well, I'll have to find out. Worst comes to worst, I have one of these. I thought that I would bring you where I ate, right? I kept going after the grocery store. Yeah, office building, I think it was a motel, gas station, cross, liquor store, locksmith, and on the other side, another gas station. So 3 doors either way. No sign of Italy. And the other option, of course, is driving somewhere, but you can't cross the street. Like they've dug out the center of the street, and they have cones for miles in each direction. So if you drive, you got to be ready to loop around and come back, and fuck that. So in case you're wondering, like, what's a contributing factor to why I give up the PCT, my ability to say fuck that is really well rehearsed, really well worked out. I got that down to a hair trigger. So I'm gonna eat. I'm gonna watch some TV. I'm gonna go to bed, and we're gonna start this all up again tomorrow. By the way, these videos are all going to end with me kind of wrapping up the day and talking about what went on that you didn't see. For instance, the 395 had a ton of construction, and that was the first stop. There were two more, and the drive up was just windy mountain roads. I was in no condition to hit the phone. Anyway, long story short, I couldn't record after that. But I don't know, maybe South Lake Tahoe just isn't for me. Maybe you love it. Maybe there's some perfectly wonderful part of South Lake Tahoe nowhere near here. And I'm sure there is. So until next time. And there you have it. You've just survived another Ken LaSalle video. For more information about new releases, projects in the works, or even stuff from the archives, head on down to kenlasalle.com. You can also find me on Facebook, Twitter, and all around social media. Just as long as it's called Facebook or Twitter. Thanks for your support, as always. Be sure to subscribe to this channel, and I'll be back soon with more nonsense.